We've always had room in our hearts for film and TV, not just on Netflix, but tape and disc and theaters. Also, God forbid that they take it all away and leave us nothing to broadcast to loyal listeners. We'll binge watch every single movie, so you don't have to. What else are we here for? Coming to you every week. Listen to us while you're busy. Luckily, we forgot to grow up. Hey everybody, it's Craig.
Hey, it's Scott.
Hey, it's Andrew.
Welcome to episode number 85 of the Forgot to Grow Up podcast. On this week's episode, if you're allergic to spoilers and are 2 weeks behind the rest of the world, maybe don't listen to this. We're going to talk about Game of Thrones. And it's probably going to be full of detailed information about things that I don't care about. And
things that no one should care about.
It might be stuff that you care about because maybe you enjoyed that show, and good for you if you did.
And why?
We're going to talk about that, and then we're going to talk about what we'll watch this week. So, Scott.
Yes.
I think you might be the only one of us that actually watched this religiously.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say religiously. This last season I did. This last season I kept up with week to week just so I could do the videos and avoid spoilers. But I would say I'm definitely a casual Game of Thrones fan. This is not a show I've ever rewatched, so that shows where it falls on my, lexicon of shows that I...
Good word, lexicon.
I was hoping I was using it properly, to be honest.
I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know, but it sounded good.
But yeah, I like the show because it's just a cool fantasy show. I like that it's a little bit different in the fact that it kind of tries to take certain fantasy tropes and kind of change them. I want to say flip them on their head because they don't go that far, but they do switch things up by killing off certain main characters and not keeping everybody safe. But I felt that these last few seasons also went away from that a little bit as the show got more popular. But yeah, I definitely didn't watch it religiously, but this last season I kept up with it. But I liked it overall. The last season, Andrew.
See, I felt like the last season they were just like, we don't want to pay people $1 million an episode. Let's make short episodes or short season. I mean, and after that they were kind of like, I don't fucking care. Let's just get this shit over with, because it sucked.
I wouldn't say it sucked, but I could definitely see where you're coming from. A lot of people.
I was more bored in the final season than I was with any other season. As I said last week, this show bores me.
Yep, I could see that. This last season was a little bit. It had a lot of dullness leading up to some really cool moments. The couple battles it had, but it definitely could have prolonged some of those things a little bit more and done a little less chit-chatting between the main characters. But I think this show has always been a lot like the thing that's made it most popular is that it has all these kind of characters, so that so many different types of people can relate to a different character, and so that's why it's like such a big show. I think is that like everyone has a different person they can connect to, based on their personality and what they like to see and in a character. So because it has a huge cast, so some people are big Daenerys fans, and some people are big Cersei fans, and some people are big Tyrion fans.
And some people have no idea what you're talking about.
So that was like Peter Dinklage is Tyrion. Yeah, it's fair. I've lost my train of thought a little bit on that. But yeah, I understand where people are coming from with this last season, and feeling it was maybe rushed. It definitely could have spent a little longer than just 6 episodes. But it definitely, I don't think it was a money issue. HBO was willing to pay them for 5 more seasons. The showrunners didn't want to keep going, which there's a lot of speculation about why
Christ.
They well, it's funny you say that because they haven't actually been super involved with the show. They have and have, and it's weird. But yeah, it's kind of interesting that everyone's kind of upset about certain turns and how quickly they wrap things up. But I'm also well, they had a few short seasons in the throughout its run, and trying to wrap up stuff, you can never please everybody. So that's where I'm they did a good enough job for me. But I get that you guys don't like it. I actually wrote down a question. I only have like 3 little notes for our Game of Thrones episode, but one of them was, what do you guys dislike about Game of Thrones? I thought.
Do you have time?
We've got at least
I can
45
do mine.
minutes.
I can do mine first because it'll be short and to the point.
Yeah, go ahead, Craig.
I found out about it after it was immensely popular.
That's fair.
Did not have access to HBO at the time, so did not care.
That's fair.
And I don't know. It's just the concept never really interested me. It just seems like it's a lot of nothing for nothing.
Yes.
Well, that's arguably a lot of stories in general, but
I could agree with that. I'm not a huge fan of drama in general.
that's fair. This is a heavy drama-based series.
That's kind of what turned me off.
Which I skip that,
It's
yeah.
dripping in drama.
Full
Yeah, no,
disclosure,
definitely.
I've never watched a
Unnecessary
second of
drama.
it,
That's
but
fair.
Keep it that way.
Yeah, it's just like it's one of those shows where younger Craig was like, everybody's into this, so I don't care,
That's fair.
and also so then I never
We
got
all on
onto
that a
it.
little bit, yeah.
Yeah, and so then and then beyond that, it's just been I'm too late to get super into it.
Oh yeah, I
And-
agree. Yeah,
I just don't care.
that's fair.
A lot of people make it their identity, or very
that's-
close to their identity.
that's
and
one of
that's
the
what
things-
I don't like about that
Oh,
kind of stuff.
I agree. Anybody who says they've wasted 10 years of their life because of this show, I'm like, no, you didn't.
No one fucking made you watch it, dipshit.
Exactly. No one made you watch it. A and B. Like the most time you maybe dedicated to it was maybe rewatching it a bunch of times, but again, you chose that. You enjoyed the time you spent doing that, just because the end of the journey.
Just because you
wasn't that
lost
great.
50 minutes a week.
Yeah, like what were you gonna watch? The Office instead? That's all apparently Americans watch, other than freaking Game of Thrones. Apparently, is rewatching that on Netflix. So it's like,
See, that part of my dislike of Game of Thrones is the obsession.
I get that. Yeah, no, I could
it's
definitely.
one of those handful of shows where people are just like, oh, it's the best, which goes under The Office, which goes under Friends, which goes under Sons of Anarchy, which just all those shows where like everyone seems to be just suckling at the teat, like, oh, it's the best, I'm its biggest fan. When in reality, it's more of a, cool, you like the show,
Yeah.
fantastic.
And that's my general feeling about it. Is like, yeah, I like it. I'm not ready to pick any fights about it, though. Like I'm not trying to convince you guys to watch it. We chose to do it this week just because it kind of fits SEO a little bit.
I've seen it. I did not
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah, that's fair. Like,
I gave it the shot.
yeah,
Fucking bored the shit out of me.
and like I can definitely understand that. That's why I haven't rewatched it at all, because it's like it's a lot of just drama. It's a lot of just people and their like politics and stuff, and it's like, okay, I know, I get it. And then they interlace some cool, medieval and
Honestly,
like
after
wizardry stuff.
watching the series finale, I feel like if you just watched that episode, you wouldn't have to watch anything else. You wouldn't have to watch a single other episode, because you'd be like, well, I know how it fucking ends, so why do I care about the journey?
I saw some posts today about a bunch of stuff that they fleshed out as part of the show that had absolutely nothing to do with the story, but it seemed like they'd spent a lot of time on it. I can't remember what they were.
Yeah, there's certain complaints. So like the Night King, which was was like this big enemy who was
Yeah,
in charge of an army of the dead.
One of the big anti.
Yeah, so they built him up a lot over the show, and he kind of just, the whole mythology with him ended in a single episode. Like they had a fight with his army, and they killed the Night King, and that was it. So there wasn't like in the
Real
books there's
anticlimactic.
more to it. Yeah, in the books there's more to the mythology where they kind of explain like, well, what's the consequence then of this kind of force of nature kind of guy who, but it seems like, oh no, he was just an evil dead dude, and you killed the evil dead dude, and now that problem's gone. So that I kind of understand people being upset about. I wanted them to do more of that. That's the stuff I really loved about the show. Like if I loved anything about the show, it was just that stuff, and that's why I kind of
Middle
like.
Earthy, eh?
Yeah, exactly, because the show has some magic elements and stuff like that, but they never leaned very heavily into it.
No, they're like, oh yeah, this is the Alchemist Guild. Okay, can you explain what alchemy is? No, okay, I have to Google that.
Yeah.
Fine.
So like little things like that where they they didn't pay off certain things that seemed like were set up a lot. But it's also like, well, I don't know what else they could have really given us for that, but it did feel like it was a little bit shortchanged in a sense on that part. There was a couple things that I think people, like a lot of people complain about Daenerys going bad, and I'm like, the woman is taken like three armies
everywhere
from three
she's
different
gone,
nations.
she's fucked shit up.
Like,
What
they
did
all
you
just-
expect?
They all say her motivations are good. I'm like, well, yeah, because she's at that, like, when she comes into like the Slaver's Bay, she's at like a slave's level at that point, even though she knows she's a queen, or, you know, in her opinion, and her family's lineage and how that all falls into that stuff. But that's a whole other thing. But like, yeah, she spends her whole, like, the whole series, she's always been bad.
She's just trying to accumulate more and
she
more
just says
and
things
more.
that she says her motivations are good, but it's like, no, she's collected a giant army to take over 7 kingdoms.
She's
she believes it's
torched a
her
whole bunch of
birthright.
people before this season.
Exactly.
Before the official, like, oh man, she's going crazy. Before that happened, she torched people, and it was like, oh, okay, cool.
Like they set it up a lot. I think a lot of people just kind of only saw the good things about her, and like to leave out like
She
can't
was
say
a powerful female lead
yeah.
for
I
the
still enjoy her
women to
character.
follow and like,
Yeah.
and she was fucking hot for all the loser loner dudes who were just like obsessed with her. That was it. That was the attraction towards it from both sides of that coin.
Well, and her character did have an interesting kind of arc, but I think people are just leaving out the fact that she did have like the fact
I think
that
for
she
her, it started cool, like very,
yeah.
very, or sort of cold, I should say, and then it got hotter, and then it gained steam. Once her brother dies, and she kind of goes through that fire can't burn a dragon. Like you kind of see, like, oh, okay, she tweaked a little bit. That's crazy. And then she starts leaning heavily on the, I'm Khaleesi, I'm the queen of the horse people.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And then from there it becomes the, okay, well, I am this. You're gonna give me what I want.
Exactly.
Okay,
That's
bitch.
the part I think people like to leave out, is that she's very entitled just because,
Yeah.
she does come from, royal lineage in this universe, and they respect
If she
that
didn't
kind of
have
thing.
that handsome old dude like just following her, being like, "Oh, Khaleesi, maybe don't do that," what type of fucking raw evil shit would have happened?
Oh,
Who
and
knows?
I can't really speak too much to that because I can't remember all the details of the stuff she went to, and like I could be definitely forgetting certain things, but a lot of it, I think a lot of people are forgetting the fact that just because you have maybe good intentions, if you still do evil, you're still not the best kind of person. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
you're still Thanos. You're still a Killmonger.
Exactly. Like, just because you think and I think that's where a lot of people are missing the thing with her, is like, the more power she got, the more corrupt she became, the more people she was killing. And eventually, when she had all the power and she didn't like the way it was, she decided to burn down the city. And it's like, well, that fits. Like, she had taken the city, but she was unhappy about the fact that people were just, like, she wanted the people to love her like they loved Jon, or were, like, a lot of the, like, their army, in a sense, loved Jon, like the North, and those guys really loved Jon, and they would have followed Jon. And like, she even says it, like, she wants, Jon to love her, not to fear her. But then,
Fear
Jon
it is.
Exactly. She says that line, and then
Yep.
I think that's what makes her snap, is like when the city surrenders, she's just like, oh, this is them surrendering to me, to being just fearing me, not loving me. So she just snaps and is like, well, if they're going to fear me, I'm going to give them a real good reason to fear me.
Right.
And she's like, okay, she hit the zero tolerance part because she got to the absolute power part. And it's like, well, as the expression goes, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And it's like, well, yeah, it doesn't, just because she's cool and in charge of dragons doesn't exclude her from that.
Like, she had dragons. Why do you think her pops went mad? Because he fucking had dragons.
That's some powerful shit.
You don't have to do fuck all when you got dragons. Dragons will torch you.
As we saw in the episodes, it's like there's some powerful shit. Even though she lost 2 out of 3, but that was also, I'll give it to, like, the fact that she's not super tactically aware, and neither are dragons. Like, dragons don't know about, like,
honestly,
war
like,
strategy and stuff. Like,
I got more of the brawn over brain aspect. Like, not her physically, but she's just like, well, if I can overpower people, life is good. And she surrounded herself with a lot of intelligent people who, like,
lots
knew
of
the
advisors.
tactics, knew how to play each other. But she just didn't really listen to them throughout a lot of the show. It was, I'm going to listen to what you're saying, but I'm going to do my thing regardless.
Yeah, well,
so
in some instances she would listen, and a lot of instances she would do it her own way, but with like the consideration of her advisors. But this last season, she stopped trusting any of her advisors, which, again, is understandable, I think, for her to stop trusting a lot of them, because a lot of them let her down a lot of times. You can only trust people so many times. I'm 100% team, Tyrion. I didn't want her to turn on him, but, he did screw up for her a few times because of his own, personal loyalties that went beyond just his loyalties to her as his queen.
blood, man, it fucks you up.
Yeah, it's all about the whole show is about power struggle and like how that messes like people up and the results of that, and how regular everyday people are the collateral damage of these,
That was one of the things I hated, because it was always the noblemen you see. You never just saw people like they never just panned to a conversation of like the bread maker who's like, for fuck's sakes, like, not again, son of a bitch.
Yeah, no, I definitely, and like the closest you get is like characters like the Hound, who's just kind of an everyday soldier in a sense, and yeah, that's about it. Everyone else is pretty much royalty that I can think of off the top of my head, or some kind of like lord or family of lords and stuff. But yeah,
I'm just glad they never went into prima nocta. That would have been a little rapey, which, I mean, the show had plenty of that, but it would have been a little too rapey.
Yeah, maybe that's why this last season got cut a little short.
Maybe they're like, oh man, someone's gonna want to. We can't do that shit. You know what else they couldn't do? They couldn't make a realistic people getting crushed by a roof scene. When Tyrion finds those bodies, there is no fucking way in hell there would be that much rubble underneath them with like 3 rocks covering their bodies. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah,
It was a scene that it was interesting to see Tyrion's emotions, because he wasn't an overly emotional
character. I thought it was a
character.
very acted scene. It's the best way.
But there's no fucking way he'd be able to go, oh, their faces!
That I'll just give artistic license to. You can't, if you want to have your actual actors maybe sitting there pretending to be dead, you can't bury them under 5 feet of rubble. And
I think it would have been a far superior scene if he found like her shoe somewhere in his hand. Like, don't show me the actors, just show me something that's like symbolizes that they're underneath there. Because like he finds the hand in the rubble first, and that's what draws him there.
I would agree. The only part where I think that they might have been hesitant with that is that you leave maybe a little ambiguity in those sense. Because you could easily have fans who would be like, well, he just left his hand because he got crushed, but they got away, and she lost her shoe because she was running. You know what I mean?
Because people want to believe bullshit.
Well, I agree.
Use your heads.
But this is why they gave us, this where we see this scene, and he gets to, actually, see the actual results and not have that little glimmer of hope potentially of them have gotten away.
Ugh. Like, what does it fucking matter? It's a TV show.
Well, that's the part I'm still always any people are going too crazy about it. I'm like, I made my one video.
This is why I don't go to Comic-Con, because I'm too realistic about stuff. I look at it and I'm like,
I think the three of us could be a little cynical at sometimes.
Oh, absolutely.
Is the best. Like, when I was at Comic-Con, I could admit I was a little cynical at certain points about certain people's fandom, and then I had to check myself, because I'm like, you know what, why should it matter to me what other people like and how they express their enjoyment of it? But I agree, there is still a line. Like, I wasn't one of the people who cried meeting Tom Welling, because I know he's just a regular person.
Because you're like, oh, hey, you're a guy who happens to be better at me than at something.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're fucking beautiful.
And I respect that as another person. I'm not going to pretend I wasn't like a little giddy, but I didn't break down because
How many of these Game of Thrones actors at like Comic-Cons and other conventions, how many people do you think have knelt or bent the knee for these people?
Too many that it's like ridiculous. I'm sure you can
Like, you
Hashtag
hear
that
about
on-
Chadwick Boseman getting sick about doing the Wakanda Forever thing.
That
There's
was
no way
literally-
these people weren't like,
that was 2
stand
months
the fuck
after
up.
Black Panther came out. It was before
Yeah.
even Infinity War had come out. And it's,
Yeah,
yeah,
He's
no,
like,
I agree. It's.
stop doing this shit to me. Just stop. I'm a
Oh,
person. I played
I
a
think-
role.
I think the actors who opt to do the cons, I think they're nice. I don't know what the word for it is, but they're open enough to the fact that they know they're gonna, like, the number of fans they're gonna see, that like 80% of them are gonna do something super cliche and the exact same thing over and over again for the most part. Maybe even 99% of people are just gonna do the exact same kind of lame thing, but they do it because it does help their image and it helps their paycheck.
Bank account.
Yeah, and it does help
there it
interact
is.
with fans. Like, I'm gonna go check out freaking Lucifer eventually, just because I know Tom Welling's in it, and I want to support him in that weird in a little way like that, just because it was nice to see him, and you know what I mean. Like, so little things like that, and like, yeah, I don't know how we got to that, but
I don't know. You mentioned Tom Welling. We talked about Comic Cons.
yeah,
The final episode, the series finale.
yeah,
That was probably the most boring episode of any show I've ever
Yeah.
seen ever. And I was baked off my ass. Okay?
it's legal in Canada.
I was flat out stoned and I was so bored.
Yeah, no, I thought that episode should have just been pasted onto the end of the last episode. Like, the last episode should have just been a 2-hour-long episode. It would have been more.
They
of an
showed
event
like
thing.
4.5 minutes of Tyrion walking down a hallway.
Same with Jon Snow walking across the courtyard.
The last 10 minutes was flipping between the three of the Stark
Starks,
kids.
Yeah, the 3 Stark kids who
Like,
survived.
back and forth, back. Like, fucking show them at the same time and cut it down to 3 goddamn minutes. Fuck.
Yeah, they definitely took a little. They showed their like cinematic artistic flair with certain scenes needing to be a little bit more. I would say like kind of classic Hollywood in a sense. If you watch some of the classics, they love a long hallway scene and stuff like that. So I'm not agreeing with it. I'm just just kind of pointing out kind of where I think maybe they got the idea from it. Where, like, what I'm trying to say is, like, they were still nice, like they were nicely shot scenes still, like, but it was still a long
the
episode.
cinematography was
There
really
was
good.
exactly
Credit
that's all I'm
where
trying to
it's
say,
due.
Yeah.
However,
Yeah, the editing maybe could have used some work, but I'm also not one to judge editing because I'm terrible at it. So
I'm honestly just glad that it's done and people can move on to the next thing. Maybe go watch Frontier. Go watch another
watch
show with
Frontier.
Jason Momoa. Watch something about the Hudson's Bay Company. Watch good old Canada.
I like that. I like that was your suggestion of everything. I'm gonna have to check. I still have to check
If
that
you're
out.
busting fat nuts for Jason Momoa, like most people are,
Yeah.
even though he was only there for like a couple seasons, and even then, those couple of seasons were just him like kind of popping up in ghost form.
I was gonna say, isn't he just like, isn't he like a secondary character?
He
but they
became
just-
like a cameo after the first season.
Okay.
Like he just kind of like pops up once or twice. But like if you're that obsessed with him, go watch Frontier,
Yeah.
Canadian Beauty.
Or Stargate Atlantis. He's in that.
Yep, I'm trying to push some Canadian television here, Scott.
That is Canadian television. It was filmed in Vancouver.
Oh shit! This one's about Canada though, so learn
This
our
one's about the
motherfucking history,
world.
and rather than living fake, made up history.
Futures, but okay.
Game of Thrones can suck my balls.
Oh, that's how we're gonna leave it, eh?
That's how I'm gonna leave it.
Craig, any last thoughts on Game of Thrones?
Absolutely none.
I didn't
Just
think
say
so.
that. Say it together. Game of Thrones
Oh, I'm not gonna say it.
can suck my balls.
I don't feel that way. I'm just fine with the show. You know what I mean? Like,
Ugh.
I'll
It was not as good as people say.
grant you that.
Game of Thrones is the Napoleon Dynamite
I'll
of
100%
HBO shows.
I'll maybe give you that. I don't have that much experience.
One
with
of those
HBO
shows where it's like, oh, it's the fucking best. Okay, what's the best about? Oh, the good. Cool, bro.
Interesting.
That's it. Don't watch it, Craig. You know what? You should
this-
watch whatever's on your what you watch this week list.
Oh, well. Let me tell you. If you
Tell
don't
me.
like Dragon's Den, then you are not going to like my list.
Did I not just bitch about dragons a little bit?
A little bit. So I watched The Better Dragons. Dragon's Den.
The real life dragons.
That's it.
The real life dragons. Still an interesting show.
What season are you
And-
on?
What cool stuff were they trying to
We're
peddle?
on season 12.
Oh, so you're starting to get some of the recent years. Okay.
Yeah,
Have
they added Arlene Dickinson back. So now there's 6 dragons.
Okay. I don't think I got to
Take
her
that,
coming
Daenerys.
back. I think the last season I watched was the season she had left.
Yeah. So there
That's
were
last-
5 dragons, and then they shook things up a little, and then now there are 6 dragons.
Okay.
It's gender balanced.
Have you gotten to the part where it's mainly just like $1 million business, like businesses that are doing like a couple million in sales, and they're coming in to try and get like a 5% investment?
See, what I find funny about a lot of those is that the dragons are like, I don't see how this is viable for any longer than what you've done, so I'm out.
Yeah.
And it's like, ooh.
Well, because a lot of them are one-shot products in a sense.
You
It's like,
have peaked. Congratulations.
I like seeing the faces of the people who get shot down, the real indignant ones, who are like solo banking on these random angel investors.
The
yeah,
ones
that's
who
like the
come
only
in
thing to
with
save their business. Yeah.
Their $10 million valuation for 1%, and
Oh,
they're
God.
like, oh, everybody will be all over it.
See, I loved the show for those ones, but I felt the show got a little too much
The blanket
into
stupidity.
Well,
Yeah.
that's what a lot of this, a lot of like season 12 has been a lot of people with like really high valuations
Okay.
and mediocre at best sales, but they come in with like, obviously it's a $10 million company and you're going to want to give me tons of money for 1% of this thing. And then they start talking and everybody's
And you're like, do you know what
"We have no
1% of
idea
$10
what-
million is?
we have no idea what you're talking about. This seems like a terrible idea. How could you possibly come in here with this valuation and no one wants you? No one wants it. And it's 1%. What kind of interest is that?
That's
Yeah.
it. That's $100,000 after you ask me for $1 million. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. So, for that part, it's been entertaining. And then you get the people who come in who like severely undervalue themselves, and the dragons talk them up, and it's just a good show. I like.
See,
it.
and
It's-
those are the great things to see. Is like the little guys who just need a hand sometimes, and the dragons kind of recognize that, or ones who just got a good idea and they're just trying to truck along, and they decide to do Dragon's Den, and then it works
See-
out because the dragons see a great idea.
Those ones I don't really mind. I
Those
feel
ones-
like there's
yeah,
too many people who consider themselves entrepreneurs,
Oh yeah, it's gone to a crazy point now.
when in reality it's just jumping on a bandwagon of a product you've seen somewhere else or something you vaguely remember from your childhood. Like, I know of a lot of businesses in and around small town where it's stay-at-home parents.
Yeah.
It's somebody who, I'm not going to say stay-at-home moms, stay-at-home dads. It's both. It's a combination.
Oh,
Where
that's the
it's
typical
someone who
person for this
didn't
kind of
have a job who was like, honey, I want you to buy me this store. And then the significant other was like, listen, come on. Like, why would I buy you a store? Like, you're only qualified with a high school education and you raise our kids spectacularly. What makes you think you can run a fucking business? And they're like, well, it's only going to cost me $25,000. And the guy's like, oh, fuck, here's the check. Jesus Christ. And then the person's like, cool, I'm going to run this into the ground. And that happens all the time. And, like, that's what really bugs me about that Shark Tank. Like,
Oh, yeah,
those
it's-
shows where it's just people who are like, my significant other gave me a check, so why won't you? You're like, well, because you didn't fucking do anything, you have no idea how to run a business.
Yeah, that's the part I think is like,
Just because you use TurboTax doesn't mean you know how the economy works.
yeah, or how like sales and profitability works, like how an investor.
What is your market?
makes
Who are you
money back.
marketing to?
Yeah.
Well, people are going to buy my shirts. Okay, that doesn't answer a question. How many shirts? Who is going to buy your shirts? Where are you going to sell your shirts? Where are you getting your shirts from?
How much do they cost to make? How much?
What
are you
is the
selling them
margin
for?
of profit on
How much
this?
is shipping?
Well, I haven't looked into that. What the fuck not? Yeah, that's what frustrates me about this entrepreneur boom.
Yeah.
Like, I think people are watching one too many Tony Robbins videos and about 600 too many Gary Vaynerchuk videos.
Definitely.
And just believing the hype of, man, you can fuck around till you're 35 and still be young as shit. Yes, in theory. However, you have to have something to back it up. You got to have something to go with it. If you don't, like, I don't consider myself an entrepreneur. I'm a small business owner.
Oh, yeah.
There's a fucking difference.
There's a big difference.
I like to think I have some pretty decent ideas for products, for apps every once in a while. I have zero idea on how to get that the fuck out there. And also, I'm just not committed enough to try to do it.
Oh, yeah.
I work hard enough for my lifestyle as is. I like coming home at night. I like having somewhere to go occasionally.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to dive in and be like on my phone 24/7 trying to deal with shit. That's just not me.
Trying to sell
I'm
things
not
on
an
eBay.
entrepreneur. And I feel like some people are like, oh yeah, you know, I used to sell fucking scrunchies out of the back of my car to chicks at parties who were giving head. Okay, cool. Not an entrepreneur. You just bought shit. I used to sell gum in middle school at 25 cents a pop. Okay? I was an entrepreneur. I was just hustling a little bit. There's a difference.
Yeah, I think you're right with the like motivational speakers of kind of and the Dragon's Den.
There's too fucking many of them.
Oh yeah, and they're all
And
just
it's-
selling the same thing, which is everybody can be whatever they want, and
Everyone can do what they want to.
there's
That ain't
money
true.
out there for you to like buy. Like there's money. People are just gonna give you their money for just because you invented a product or came up with an idea.
We
It's like,
all
oh,
did. Not all of us had parents who established a decent business, and then we grew that business that already existed. It doesn't work in all cases. Sometimes you gotta do the fucking grunt work. Sometimes
I
the
did
grunt
not-
work sucks big fat dick.
This episode did not. This I did not expect us to go this direction talking about Dragon's Den, but it
Oh, I'm
makes sense.
I'm very anti-entrepreneur. Very anti-entrepreneur.
I would say you're anti-fake entrepreneur, in a sense, because there are legitimate entrepreneurs. Like there are real ones. It is a real thing.
If you figure
but-
your shit out, you get a little bit of respect from me. But when you have no idea what the fuck you're doing and you consider yourself an entrepreneur,
So-
and it's in your Instagram handle, like, oh yeah, entrepreneur, stay-at-home dad, blah 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 blah. Get the fuck out of here.
Well, that's where I agree. Like, I think if your only thing that makes you an entrepreneur is that you call yourself an entrepreneur, you're not.
If you make picnic tables and you sell them on the side, fan-fucking-tastic. You found yourself a niche market. You're selling them. You're bringing in a little bit of that side hustle cash.
Yeah, we're all
You're
working
not an entrepreneur.
on that.
You're not an entrepreneur.
Podcast.
You got a side hustle. Okay? You're a small business owner because good for you. You get to write some shit off. But side hustle.
Or you're smart and you're literally just taking that all as cash. And
Yeah. No comment. But, yeah, like
Pay your taxes,
like
people.
the
forgot to
fake
grow up
entrepreneurs.
does not endorse tax evasion.
Not at all. But oh fuck, like the fake entrepreneurs. Thank you, Scott.
Yeah, that's
As
what
you said, that is my biggest deterrent from stuff like that because I look at a lot of it and I'm like, fuck you, man.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
I've started to like.
You sell a sock with
Yeah.
extra tight rings around the edge and a silky inside. That's a pocket pussy. Get out of here. Why are you trying to sell that sock? Come on, man. What else did you watch, Craig?
Yeah, I was gonna say we're gonna get on. To
I could
something
go
else.
on.
I
too
know.
long for
I
this.
thought
we need
so.
we need to keep moving.
I also watched more of that show Lunatics, the one with Chris Lilly, the one where he's a bunch of different characters.
The one where he's a lunatic.
Yeah, several times over. Still very entertaining. I have nothing more to add about that. Just that the characters are evolving and it's great. It really is. I'm sure I'm almost finished because it feels like a couple of the story arcs are starting to come
Wind
to
down.
their ending. So I'm sure I've got like 1 or 2 episodes left, but I am enjoying it all the way through. And that's it. That's all I watched.
Oh, very short.
Damn, that
list.
was a short ass list, my brother.
I know. I've been it was a long weekend. It was
Oh, you did stuff. Okay. See,
I was
my list is
busy.
long because it was a long weekend and I did nothing.
I've had so much to do this weekend. It was
Pretend
crazy.
I'm dedicated to the podcast and not a loser. We'll say that, okay?
It's absolutely podcast
It's
dedication.
100% podcast dedication, not that I just don't like going outside.
Sometimes you got to do both. You got to do a lot of shit and then say, I got to watch 7 hours of insert TV show here. Let's do this.
Yes, and I'm very much like that. I did my groceries this weekend, but then I watched.
How long does it take you to do groceries? Hot damn.
It was half an hour. But
Jesus.
that's my thing I go do. It's my only
That's
thing to
fair.
do on the weekends.
That's fair.
That and cook. But anyways, what did you watch this week, Andrew? Was yours?
Well, my list is fairly short.
Okay.
I got some Smallville going again
Nice.
at the shop.
Need
We're
to
at the
rewatch
point.
that.
We're at the point now where Lex is like, I lost 7 weeks of my life and I want it back. And you're like, oh dang, he's gonna find out about Clark. Even though you're like, probably not gonna find out about Clark because that's just how shit goes.
That's how this show is.
Lana still sucks. Chloe's been super emotional this season so far. Like she slightly betrayed Clark, and she's like, "Why can't you forgive me?" And Clark's like, "Bitch,
Because-
think of what you did.
yeah.
You brought like Lionel Luthor into this. Like you almost found out my secret. What the fuck's wrong with you?" So like this is a very dramatic season.
Oh yeah, this
Fucking
show is such a soap opera.
Goddamn
soap opera.
30-year-old high school kids. Just the worst. Except
we
Tom
love it.
Welling is the best.
Yeah. And we
So
love every
between-
minute of it.
Yeah, love that show.
So great.
Outside of that, I watched Game of Thrones and hated it.
Yes, you
I watched the news and I hated it. Life sucks, okay? I'm just going to take a break from the podcast. The world is shit, okay? I want to know some good news once in a while. This is just me calling out the news outlets. I don't care if you're a liberal news outlet, you're a conservative news outlet. Stop telling me shit, okay? Just tell me that little Mimi, the cat that's down at the shelter that was pregnant, gave birth to 8 beautiful little kittens, and they all survived. Just fucking tell me that, okay? I want some positive news. I don't want to be like, Trump tweeted about this because the abortion laws are crazy. Yeah, they're fucking nuts. We know that. Let's move on. Like, as a people, we need to figure this shit out. We all know about it. So why the fuck is someone tweeting news? If I want to find out, I'll fucking search that guy in my search bar. God damn it. So after that, I watched some MLB. I watched the rained out Jays game, which is on repeat for some reason. And yeah, don't know why, but it was on repeat. And they talked about the knuckleball being a misnomer for a solid 2 minutes. I don't know about you, but saying the knuckleball is a misnomer, it's technically a finger ball. That doesn't take 2 minutes. That took me, 3 seconds? And I talked pretty slowly there.
Why is it a misnomer? Explain to the. I know why it's a misnomer. Explain
Because
to
you
the
don't
kind
actually
people.
throw with
Explain
your
to me.
knuckles. You throw with your fingers.
Yeah.
Throw with your fingertips.
I was like, what the fuck, guys? Like,
Hey.
the Toronto baseball announcers are trash.
Buck and Pat are old. That's all I got. They're old.
Like, I don't care about baseball. It's the same with hockey, if I'm being honest. Like, I don't care about how it was back in your day. Shut the fuck up and let me watch the game. Tell me who's up to bat. Tell me what we're at. And let's go from there. I don't need to, back in my day, you weren't allowed to. Get the fuck out of here. The game has changed. It's adapted. Whether for better or worse, who cares? It's a different game. Let's just play ball. I don't care about 2-minute knuckleball misnomer conversations. This is fucking just frustrating.
Yeah, you listen to a lot of the reasons why I just don't bother with sports.
If it ain't Joe Buck, I don't give a fuck. Okay? I would put that bumper sticker on someone's car. Not mine, it's a
Yeah,
lease, but on
yeah.
someone else's
Someone
car.
else's car, definitely.
Absolutely. Next up, I've got... Oh, here we go. This is me. I'm about to get pissed again. I watched the season finale of The Flash.
Okay, so what? I thought you'd be a little happy because the way it ends.
Oh, I'm so psyched that it's fucking done.
Well, that's
Okay.
fair.
Okay.
And Nora's gone.
Nora's fucking gone, but you know what isn't gone?
What's not
The
gone?
time journal that she brought
no,
to the past
no.
from the future. If she's been erased, how the fuck is it in the past? It shouldn't be in the past.
Well, no,
because
she does say at one point that it's a special thing, and the ink special, it doesn't get erased when timelines change. So she
Which
does
is
explain that.
bull.
Because that's how she's able to like keep
shit.
doing like time loops in the one episode, and
Okay, well let's course correct from that one.
I'm just throwing out the things that other like the hardcore fans might say.
The only reason that DeVoe's satellite blew up is because she helped fucking destroy it. None of the shit that happened this season would have happened if
No, you're
she
right.
got erased from time.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah, like this whole season was bullshit. Time travel is horse patooties. Okay.
you're not wrong. No,
No,
Especially in the
I
Flash
know damn
universe.
well I'm not wrong. It's the same as Endgame. Time travel is too fluid of a bullshit concept. There's a reason that we don't know if people are actually doing it, and it's
not
because
possible.
it doesn't fucking make sense.
It's just
Why?
not
Why would
possible,
you? Why would you want to in the first place?
can't.
What good could come from it?
You
What a
just can't.
goddamn thing. Nothing good could happen. Okay, we've seen Biff Tannen go back and become
not
rich,
possible.
and what the fuck happens to him? Nothing good, because the timeline gets changed again.
Yeah,
Thanks, Christopher Lloyd.
time's just a
Bring
human
back
concept.
jobs.
Doesn't exist. Can't travel through time.
Fuck, you can't. Unless you're Nora, in which case you use the negative speed force, which then you get real angry and you're like, oh, I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah,
And
I
then-
hated how they justified the freaking negative speed force. Like, you guys are science. Like, you guys put so much science in everything, and you're gonna go with you just gotta
Emotions?
get angry. Yeah, it's like I get it, but it's also like you could have thought of a little bit better sciencey way to do it. You know what I mean? Like, a
Well, the
little more-
negative speed force does allow you to stand still until you put a hood on or your mask, and then your whole body shakes for some reason.
Yeah, like
You
you're
know what else they
always-
don't explain?
What's that?
How they figured out how to reverse time. They just show up in the future and do it. And then Thawne's like, oh, you figured out how to reverse time. How? Who told you? How in the unholy fuck did you
Well,
figure out how to reverse time?
I feel like that's one of those ones where it's like the same as how he figured out flash time, which was it just happened one time and they're able to do it.
But they were so cocky about it.
I know.
Like they're like, oh yeah, fuck you, man. Like get the fuck out of here. And then that
Yeah.
brings me to another thing. The inability to calculate and be the same across the board with their speed powers, okay? Again,
Yeah, it's
how can
ridiculous.
Barry not stop things flying through the sky when it's going to hit people? But he can basically teleport 5 guys out of a room because he's moving so fucking fast.
Yeah, that's one of those things I always agree with you. It is ridiculous. The
It's
inconsistency of the show.
frustrating.
'Cause they,
It's
like-
one of those like
Yeah,
we
yeah.
all know that I'm the guy who gets taken out of shows by shit that just doesn't make sense
Oh,
or it
that's
doesn't
continuity
add up.
101. Yeah, like that's just
And
simple continuity when it comes to like
that's
his
it.
powers, and it's like the first season they made a point of saying that like when he
You can't
traveled
run
the
fast without your clothes burning off.
Well,
Great,
that was-
that's why we have the suit.
yeah.
Now it doesn't fucking matter.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, he just all his clothes are made with that apparently. But no, I meant like in the first season. They kind of. Oh, and I forgot where my train of thought was going on that. Doesn't matter. Oh no, in the first season they established like his with his speed that like the fastest he can travel then puts him into like time travel. That's how he accidentally time travels the first time, is he goes as fast as he can.
Yeah, he skips through time and ends up back
Yeah.
again.
And it's like, well, after that, they
So
just
after the
decide it's
tsunami.
like it's just something he chooses to do, as opposed to being like, oh, he has to go as fast as he can. And it's like they always introduce
He
new
has to focus
speedsters
and
that
be
change,
angry
like,
and or
yeah,
whatever.
they just keep
And
changing
now
what
he
the
just
speed is.
now he can time travel without even having to run around the fucking loop.
Yeah.
He's just like, let's just run straight real fast. Okay, great. And then, but you still can't stop that piece of glass from hitting
Yeah.
Iris. But you can catch every bullet that's ever been shot.
Yeah, it's
The lack of continuity is frustrating. Season 1 was
very-
awesome.
yeah.
Season 2 was fucking great. Season 3 for the first half, I was like, pretty cool.
Yeah.
See, the second half, you're like, yeah.
They eventually just made him too quick for like every day, is what it came down to, because they kept giving him speedsters who had to be faster than. It's like, well, if he's faster than those two speedsters, then why can't he be faster than like everything all the time? Like, no, I agree. That's one of the things that's.
And then it started
about
becoming his speed against other stuff, and they had to keep giving him. He's never had the same sidekick, ever. Like Wally was there for one season as his solid sidekick.
Yeah.
And then he left to go join the Legends for that little bit. And then he comes back for like one episode this season. And then they just bring him up in passing here and there. And then now Nora's gone. Who do you think his sidekick's going to be next season? Because if it's like Bart Allen or some shit, like his grandkid or something, I'm going to be pissed.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame you for that.
Like, if they bring in John Wesley Shipp as the Flash, bring him in as Barry Allen, fucking, I'm on board. I am sold. But there is no way they could milk that show for another 2 seasons without just completely washing it down.
Yeah, it's definitely winding down. I definitely think so.
There was a sigh of relief that audibly came out of my mouth when I finished the season. When Kendall and I were done, we're like, oh, thank God. We get our Thursdays back. But not for long, because we decided that Lucifer would be our next Thursday show, which we watched 2 episodes of.
Oh, right on. What do you think? Because I haven't started it, but I was thinking about starting it.
Two episodes in, it's pretty good.
Okay.
Like,
is it super procedural? 'Cause that's the impression I got from it. That it's just a cop show with the devil. Like,
kind of.
Yeah.
Like, so far that's all it's been.
Okay.
But
you're only 2 episodes in too.
I'm only 2 episodes in.
Yeah.
But it seems very like loose.
Okay.
Where they're like, I'm a cop. Well, I'm Lucifer. Well, I'm gonna arrest you. Well, I'm Lucifer. Why aren't you falling for my charms? Because I'm gonna arrest you. Okay. Well, I can get the handcuffs off. Well, help me then. Like that's how it's gone so far.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm like, you're cute. He is gorgeous.
He is a handsome
I'm gonna let this one ride out. That chick kind of looks like Halle Berry, so I'm gonna keep watching. The guy who plays Brother Blood is on it though, and season 2, season 2 of Arrow.
Oh,
I don't know if you can think that far back. That weird
I know
dude.
What you're talking about now, yeah.
Yeah, the guy who ran for city alderman.
Yeah, okay, I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, that weird dude. Ugly as fuck. He's in it. He plays the I'm gonna arrest you female cop, her ex-husband.
Okay.
And I just don't like him. Something about his face. He just has a real punch me in the mouth face.
Some people have that face.
Yeah. You know who doesn't have that face though?
Who's that?
Mindy Kaling, because the Mindy Project is the last thing I watched this week.
You got to give me more about that one. I don't even have an opinion on that. I'm just like, okay.
It is surprisingly spectacular.
Yeah, I always found her character in The Office annoying, which always put me off anything else she's ever done, which is probably...
Yeah, it's basically the same character.
Okay.
Just she's a gyno.
Okay, see, yeah, I don't think I'll enjoy it.
Yeah, I don't think it's for you. It's
not for me either.
I don't want to say it's my girlfriend made me watch it show.
That's what it sounds like.
Do you want me to say that?
No, my girlfriend got me started on it. I chose to binge watch it.
Okay.
Because I love me some
now
Ike
we're getting down to
Barinholtz,
the honesty, yeah.
And it's not so much about her. Like she's kind of it's almost like Seinfeld, where he's the glue for the group.
Yeah.
And the group is the best part of it. It's kind of the same thing. Although I do love me some Mindy Kaling. I feel like she doesn't play characters. She just shows up on set and does her thing. Because outside of like Ocean's 8, she's
I enjoyed
kind
her
of
in
the
that.
same thing
in
everything.
Yeah.
And she's a pretty strong female comedic lead. Except for every episode talks about how she has giant cans. She's hot, but no one tells her. She's not overweight, so stop talking about it. Like, it's got the same kind of jokes that come up, but they're not forced. Okay. Like, they come up organically somehow.
All right.
Surprisingly decent show.
All right. I won't be checking it out. We know I don't want
I don't think you'd like it, but surprisingly decent show.
That's good. So
And that's all I watched this week.
Alrighty.
But I have one thing I want to mention. This week, I read two things.
Oh,
That Robert Pattinson has been dubbed as the next Bruce Wayne.
he's in talks. Yes.
Yeah. And I'm considering getting all my tattoos covered.
Are you falling into that kind of category of just barring him as just the Twilight guy? That was 10 years ago. We're not
No,
the
I
same-
just don't like him as an actor. I didn't like him as Cedric Diggory either.
Okay.
I just don't like him.
I just want to make sure.
He's way too pale to be Bruce Wayne, okay?
Well, that's
Like he's
that could just be argued
whiter
that that's
than
the roles he's played so far.
he's whiter than I am as a human being. And I'm white as fuck.
Yeah.
Like
Okay, that's
the only like
you got to give me more than just his like he's slightly pale because they could fix that. That's makeup or him going. He lives in
like,
LA. I'm
I
sure.
also just don't think he looks like I look at him and I don't see Bruce Wayne.
Okay, that's
Like
fair.
I look at him and I see like skinny guy muscle.
That's
You know
fair.
where
See?
he's kind of cut because he just doesn't have any body fat on him.
All right.
Whereas I think Bruce Wayne and I think, well, if he flexes, he's gonna rip that shirt because that dude has like no fat.
No, that's
He
fair.
is
No,
like
that's a
he is
fair
like
point, too.
peak physical condition.
That's
always.
and that's where I struggle
So
with it is that to me, Batman,
physically, he just
yeah, and that's
he
where
doesn't.
I'm a little hesitant to him. I was hoping we weren't going to fall into like the, cliche people who are just like, oh, he's Twilight and blah blah. I've tried to move past that, kind of thinking a little bit. You know what I mean? So I just want to make sure.
no. The first thing I think of when I think Taylor Lautner is Shark Boy, and the second thing I think of is Grown Ups 2, where he stands on a rock and starts like jumping around, and then he howls like a wolf. Those are the first two things that come to mind when I think Taylor Lautner,
Okay.
and then third, I guess it would be that super weird Cuckoo show that's on Netflix that Andy Samberg was in the pilot for. That was a weird show,
Never heard.
but don't watch it. It
I
sucked.
won't, yeah.
But yeah, Robert Pattinson just doesn't do it for me. Especially if they're gonna be like, yeah, this is a young Batman. Okay, great. So I'm supposed to just believe that he like grew up into Ben Affleck? Like, is that?
Well, no,
What's
we're
supposed to
we're-
happen?
We're past that by this point.
I can't look past that.
There's
though.
no connecting this to anything anymore. DC's
However,
given up
I
on
was
that.
reading a thing that there's some pretty serious chats out there from a couple of good sources that Ben Affleck might be dubbed to direct the Batman. And then I got real fucking angry because I was like, they got rid of Matt Reeves because he just couldn't figure out what he was doing. And you left
Wait.
because you didn't like that they couldn't figure out what they were doing. Why would you come back and direct a movie as opposed to just coming back and being my guy?
Yeah.
Because you're my Batman.
That sounds like some fake news. I haven't heard
Like-
anything about that rumor, to be honest.
Ben, come back, man. You are my Batman.
Yeah.
Like,
I'll second that. I'm down for Ben to come back before we get somebody else recast.
come back for like as like old Batman and die. Okay,
Just pass it down to like a Nightwing. How would you feel if that's who Robert
or
Pattinson
Batman
was
Beyond.
playing Nightwing?
Like
Oh, yeah, or Batman.
Robert
That'd be
Pattinson.
great.
If they want to make him Terry McGinnis, or
That I could see a little bit,
Terry
yeah.
Guinness or Terry McGinnis. I think it's McGinnis, isn't it?
You would know better than I would.
Terry. If you want to make it Terry,
Yeah.
Batman Beyond, go nuts. Like he fits
could
more
fit.
into that
Yeah, he
role.
could definitely
He
fit
looks
that
a
one.
little bit younger. He's
Yeah.
supposed to be a younger guy, anyways. He's got a similar like skinny guy, but like kind of athletic body type.
Yeah.
Fucking go nuts. Stick him in the Batman Beyond suit.
And I think I would be down to see that too. Like I think that would spark some.
I
Like, a
wouldn't
lot
be
of
super
interest.
pissed about it. But
Yeah.
Robert Pattinson does not fit Bruce Wayne.
What about Nightwing? How would you feel if he was Nightwing? Nightwing becoming Batman.
No, couldn't
No.
do it.
Okay.
He just I
just
like
wanted-
Dick Grayson too much to put,
That's fair.
put Robert Pattinson
That's
as
fair.
it.
I
don't know who I
because then
would
he wouldn't
cast.
technically have been Bruce Wayne Batman. He'd be Dick Grayson Batman, right? So
Like even on Titans,
yeah.
like that guy, like he wasn't Nightwing enough for me. I really
I know
love
what you
that
mean.
show,
Yeah.
but he didn't show off his acrobatic skills enough.
Yeah, he didn't.
Like,
seem
I need a guy
athletic
who's
enough to
gonna,
me.
like,
Yeah.
Jump around and flip and
Yeah.
all that cool
A
stuff
little
because
bit
that's
more,
what
yeah.
that's what he does.
That's his thing. That's literally his thing.
Yeah, like That's what he relies on because he's fucking
Like
good
Batman's
at it.
just like the brute force like guy, and then
He's like, I'm gonna punch you because I know where to break everything.
And Nightwing /
And
Robin
Nightwing's
is
like,
finesse.
cool. I'm gonna like jump around and look super pretty while I do it.
That's why he's got the shorts.
And that's why he covers it up and wears super sweet black and blue. Didn't really like the red one. I preferred the blue one myself.
Yeah,
But that's all I watched this week.
Right on. Well, we already talked about a couple of things I watched, The Flash and Game of Thrones. But I also watched the new Predator movie because that got added to Crave.
I heard it was corny. I heard it was super corny.
It's pretty corny.
Someone was telling me within like the first 20 minutes they pull out like every reference from the original.
It's literally on a display in a like in a thing in the like the lab where they're holding like the Predator they capture at the beginning of the movie. Spoiler, I guess, for the beginning, first 5 minutes of the movie. Like,
Secret time? Hollywood, stop making remakes of shit that came out 30 years ago. Stop it.
Yeah, I didn't hate it, but it definitely was not a good movie.
Well, they tabbed it up to be like a decent B-list movie.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, can't do it. I can't get behind Alien versus Predator 2. I can't get behind any of these new fucking Prometheus movies.
Yeah,
I can't do
blame
it.
you. I can't
The movies,
blame
like the franchise has been around too long. Everyone's changed. Why don't people remember the Predators or the aliens? What is happening? I can't get behind it.
Yes.
I can't.
No, I understand, and this one did not help the franchise. I have to say, like I said, I enjoyed it for the fun corniness of it, but like I said, it wasn't good. I won't be revisiting it anytime soon.
The only movies I'm willing to give a pass to for like remaking a remake of a remake of a remake is Godzilla. That is the only one I'm willing to get a pass to because I fucking love Godzilla.
Yeah, I think
That is it.
I feel any monster character, like the Universal monsters, also fall into that category, like the mummies, the werewolves.
I'm not going to say
werewolf.
yes to the mummies, but yes to everything else.
Okay, that's
like
fair.
everything
Tom
we
Cruise
pitched
didn't
on
help
our
the mummy
horror,
either.
on like our monster movie
Yeah.
pitch episode.
Did we
I'm
do that?
game for. But leave the we did that because you pitched your Van Helsing SWAT team thing.
Right. I forgot.
I
about
remember the podcast. Do you?
that. No, clearly not.
Clearly not. But no, I hate that they keep remaking this stuff.
Yeah.
So I was kind of glad to hear that it was corny and just not the best.
Yeah. You won't want to watch this one.
Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I watch just because, like I said, I like watching whatever new stuff that gets added to Crave. So I feel like I'm taking advantage of Crave as much as I can.
Oh, okay.
Because it was one of the like new movie network ones that got added. So I was like, okay. But yeah, I watched that. I went and saw John Wick 3 in theaters. Spoilers: there's gonna be a fourth one.
Okay, I heard from someone that they
they-
teed it up for a fourth one.
Yes, they did, and then they announced the news on like Wednesday, not even Wednesday,
Jesus
like Monday
Christ.
after. Like, so that's why I'm like, it's kind of a pretty like.
Wasn't this supposed to be the last one?
Did-
Didn't they say this was it?
They made
Like,
it seem that way leading up to this one. Like before this one was made, it made it seem like going into this one seemed like it was going to be the last one, but coming out of it is definitely not. But
see, this is where I get frustrated with stuff.
Yep, yeah.
Because you're just milking that teat. Oh, there's some water in there.
Yes.
That's cool.
I'll give them this. If they end it with the next one, I think it'll be like it'll fit, like it'll be suiting. If that makes sense. Like
I haven't seen this one. I'm not even gonna try to touch on how good it is. The first one was a great movie,
yeah,
especially as just a dude watching a dude movie.
yeah,
The second one, awesome. Okay, it built up from there and it gave you something. If they never made a third one, it wouldn't have mattered to me. It would have been a maybe he lived, maybe he died moment. This guy's on the lam forever. Now that they've made the third one, I was kind of like, cool. He'll either die or he'll make a truce, and he'll be able to retire in peace with his pooch. But now knowing that they're making a fourth one, I'm just like, fuck it, just jump forward. Give me John Wick 17. Have it tie in somehow with the Fast and Furious movies.
Well,
like,
it's funny you say that because, like, I've heard
I swear to God, if you say
comparisons-
this one's supposed to cross over,
no,
or
not
something,
crossover. No, just comparisons of the fact that like this one seems to now be growing the same way, just like a faster Fast and the Furious. Like Fast and Furious is on number 8.5 and coming up 9th movie in their franchise with Hobbs and Shaw coming out this year. So there, some people compared it to that as like the other big action franchise that it could be like similar to, as in like this big all-out action thing that people love.
See, I love the movies like this one, like
Yeah.
the John Wick, the Equalizer,
Oh yeah.
Harry Brown, like those movies where it's just a guy who's got a certain set of skills, and I will find you. You know,
It's funny you left Taken out.
yeah, I left Taken out because they had too many fucking movies. Okay, too
Yeah.
many movies.
Yeah.
I love those. Like the Equalizer 1, unbelievable. Equalizer 2, just as fucking good. Like 2 of my favorite movies of all time.
You know
I
what,
don't
third?
need to see 5 of those. I own them on Blu-ray. I can throw them in whenever I want. I can love them. I can swallow. I can digest. I don't need more. And I feel the same way with this. Like, it's so cool to be able to sit down and watch a guy who's just like so confident in the muscle memory of how to fucking do shit and how to problem solve.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's awesome. But
Yeah.
there, it hits the point where you're like, why are you making these? Don't, like, what's next? Joanna Wick? Like, he's going to have a sister out there who just has
No.
the same skill set.
If anything, I could see a Holly Berry like spin-off movie, like with her character potentially. But that'd be a very. They didn't set that up. I'm just saying, I could see that with her being a big enough star, they could finesse their way to doing that. But I don't think they will.
I feel like movies shouldn't have more than 3 total. You can do it from now on. Hollywood, you're allowed to do a trilogy, and that is it. Nothing else. Give me a third, Kingsman movie, and then just call it quits. Don't give. And I love those movies. Don't give me any more than that. Give me Power Rangers 2 and Power Rangers 3, and don't make anything after that.
We're going back for Power Rangers now. Eh?
Love that movie. Don't give me a Detective Pikachu 2. Don't give me a Detective Pikachu 3. Fucking kill yourself if that's what you're thinking of doing. And go on from there. Just stop it. What else did you watch this week, Scott?
Okay, so one of the TV.
I feel like I've been really angry
Yeah, I
about
was gonna
everything
say,
the
this
last
has been a very
couple weeks.
aggressive
This
one
has been
for
a
you.
very bitter episode.
This has been a bitter month. Okay, May was not a happy podcasting month for Andrew.
You have been sick and other things, so. it's
Yeah, I think
understandable.
I'm just sick
Yeah.
of fucking sequels.
Yeah, I think we need to get to you some original content.
There's only so much Amazon Prime I can watch, man.
That's true. Well, a new show I started, which is not like it's already in the zeitgeist, which is Stranger Things. We got the 3rd season coming up, so I decided I'd check it out. I was a little hesitant because this for me was like Game of Thrones for you guys. Like the fact that everybody loved it so much, and I was like, oh, the 80s stuff. I was hesitant to check it out, which is why I haven't watched it till now. But I put the first season on, and I binge watched the whole thing on Saturday. The whole freaking season. Whole first season. I'm going to binge watch the 2nd season next weekend. I dug it. I get why everybody loves it. The cast are just lovable in this way that you're just like, okay, we all know I'm usually annoyed by most kid actors, but these ones didn't annoy me. We didn't spend that much time in their high school. The problem was outside of high school stuff. So I was like, yes, okay, cool. So that's the part I hate about like most things that focus around younger or kids in general, is that like we're spending all this time in high school, and I'm like, I already did those 4 years. I don't need to watch TV shows about it. So I really enjoyed that. Like they did a great job mixing like these sci-fi elements with these kids who had no idea what's going on and introducing them into this crazy world with conspiracies and all this craziness. So I get why everybody else likes it. I'm on board now. I'm maybe not as diehard as everybody else, but I'm watching it. So
Yeah, that show does nothing for me.
No, I
Mainly
understand.
because it's kids.
No, I get that. I get that, but you focus a lot on David Harbour's character, who is the sheriff, because he's the first episode. One of the kids goes missing, and that's what the whole first season's about, is them trying to find out where this kid is, and then other kids start going missing, and other people go missing, and there's this shady government organization, and so you follow him a lot, and Winona Ryder's character a lot, so you don't spend all the time with the kids. And the time you do is pretty interesting, because they introduce Eleven's character, who is barely speaks and has these powers that are very vague, and she kind of knows what's happening but doesn't, and it's a good mystery, I thought, and I enjoyed it. Yeah, I'm curious to see what the second season will have in store, and then the third.
Sounds like my Mindy project.
Potentially, yeah. No, I think it's probably a little. Anywho, Stranger Things is good. I get it, but I get why it's not for you.
Absolutely not.
But yeah, the last thing I watched this week was some more Nailed It. They added a new season of the cooking show where amateurs try to bake stuff, and they still fail at it, and I still love it. And yeah, so I watched that. That's all I watched this week.
Fair enough, fair enough. Well, thanks for listening, guys.
Yeah, our long-winded episode.
I promise I
Our
will
Game of
try
Thrones
not to be
episode.
angry next week.
Tune in next week for the Outrage podcast.
Can we do that? Can we just do an episode where we just talk about things that make us angry?
Well, what would I have to talk about
In
my personal
Hollywood,
life,
not
then?
just in general. not just me complaining about people who fucking cross the street without looking both ways, without hitting the button, clearly jaywalking when I've got the motherfucking green. I'm not going to complain about that. I'm going to complain about just TV and movies. Can we do an episode like that? Because that would be fun for me.
I think we probably can.
We could probably work that into the schedule.
There we go. We'll put it on the mom calendar. Tune in next week, guys.
Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.